congratulations today, the honorees, including your wife. Who I understand, the birthday today? Well, look, my wife has a rule in her family. When somebody's birthday, you sing happy birthday. You ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Valen. Happy birthday to you. Well,
politics in the United States of America. The left has gotten really left, and the right has gotten really right. Everyone's towing the line, and we're getting nowhere. Fast. This is the Rational American. The Rational American. Common sense has gone out the window, and our passion is to open eyes in hopes that people will take a rational look at what America is actually becoming. Put your feelings aside and let's get real. This is the Rational American, and this is your host, Steve Oatley.
I should have let that just be the whole show. Just mess with all you guys. Wouldn't that have been funny? I should have done that. Why didn't I think of that before? And then did the Rickroll song after. I should have done that. I didn't think about it. Anyway, welcome. Today is Tuesday. It feels like a Monday. It's January 17th, and we're live here. I figured I'd go live right now because I got a bunch of stuff to do. And I didn't go live on Rational American yesterday because on the locals channel, because I remember my son, the younger boy, had a stomach virus. Guess who got it? And I tell you what, this thing, luckily, I've just felt nauseous, but I think I'm on the mend. I can actually keep food down and stuff like that now, which is nice. But yeah, it's been interesting. But since then, since I last did a show, quite a bit has happened. Obviously, we know that Joe Biden has all these classified documents that are being found throughout his homes. We know that. We know the way the media is going to portray it's a little bit different than when, Donald Trump did it. Donald Trump is also in the news, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, people got notifications too. I wonder if it's because I changed the Facebook page name. So that's why I did it. But some of the things that we're going to be doing here are going to be a little bit different. This show is going to be more of the same style, but I hope to, remedy it a little bit more and do a lot of feature stuff. And then, of course, our locals channel, you'll see April put an article out yesterday. She is now an admin on that channel, so she could start writing too. But yeah, it's been interesting. Yesterday was Martin Luther King Day across America, and they unveiled something. They say it's an MLK sculpture. They unveiled that There's something on my screen. No. What is that? Oh, right there. Bam. It's from my microphone. Like a piece of lint or something. It looked like it was on the back. Anyway, I don't know what the sculpture is. I don't know what it is. It kind of looked like chocolate soft serve or poop or something. I'm not quite sure what the sculpture was supposed to be. And I think it caught a lot of people off guard. And a lot of people want to be like culturally sensitive and stuff. So you're not going to say, what it, I don't know. I don't know. It's quite odd looking. And I still haven't figured it out. I've looked at quite a few pictures this morning trying to see what it could possibly be, and I really have no idea. Which is kind of funny. Someone said the whole Hunter story is going to come out, and they are trying to lessen the impact. See, and I actually thought something similar about the with all the stuff that's coming out about Hunter Biden or about Joe Biden right now, and all the classified information that's being leaked. Even some White House reporters are the way they're covering it is different than anything we've seen with this current administration. And it led me to think this morning that there most certainly is going to be some big national news story that takes the spotlight off this. There has to be. And I don't know what it is, but it's going to have to be pretty firm. Because think about it. Whenever there's negative publicity about Joe Biden or about this administration or something, the Afghanistan withdrawal, whatever it is, there's always something that happens that takes away from the spectacle that is our news. So, I don't know. The statue is supposed to be an embrace with Martin Luther King's wife, from what you heard. Oh, really? Okay. I didn't see. I still don't see it. So, but that's good. That's nice. It says two people's arms hugging each other. Someone else said. Okay, so that's what it's supposed to be. A hug. It doesn't look like a hug. I mean, here, watch. I'll show you guys a picture just so you can see. MLK statue. That was in Boston, right? I guess now when you see the hands, maybe. I don't know.
I've got to ask you about something.
Hold on, because I don't want to listen to the audio. Let me try to see if I can't just find some images. All right, so here are some. It's very odd. It's very I don't know how it's. I mean, obviously you could tell these are arms, but like here's the back end side of it. I don't know, man. That's a weird statue there. I suppose from this angle you could see it, and to be honest, I haven't seen this angle being shared on social media that much. I'm more seeing like not even that one, like this one. I don't know what it is. It's very odd. It's very odd to me, but now people can see. It's a hug with his wife. There's a photo that it mimics. Yeah, it's got a lot of weird publicity. But what do you guys think? Do you think there's going to be something to, see, I just switched right back to what I was talking about before. Do you think there's going to be something to take away from all the negative publicity that Joe Biden is currently getting about these classified documents? Because let's be honest, there's a huge difference between Joe Biden having classified documents from when he was vice president after he was not in office, in the former president, Donald Trump, from having classified documents in his office. Because one of those people actually had the power to declassify any document that they wanted, and it's not Joe Biden. So that's why there's a lot of... There's a lot, like not as many people are playing on the fact that they knew that these documents existed before the midterms, and likely they wouldn't have said anything unless that CBS reporter actually dug into this and wrote about it. Nothing would have probably been said in the first place. And then all of the other documents that have been found, because I think there's 5 instances now where classified documents have been found in unclassified positions. Or places related to Joe Biden. Whereas with Donald Trump, all the classified information that they found was apparently in a locked storage area. The government knew about it. The government told them to secure the door. They did. And so there's a lot of miscommunication about which one's worse. If you ask me, they're both bad. And I'm not going to jump on the Trump bandwagon where it's like, oh, he can declassify anything, but anybody having classified documents, Mar-a-Lago people can go but here's the difference between Mar-a-Lago and Joe Biden's Wilmington estate. At least in Mar-a-Lago, they have a receipt of all the guests that come into that place, right? So they could track it. If something comes up missing, they could figure it out pretty quick because they keep track of everyone that comes and goes from that location. Whereas there's apparently no documentation of who has gone to the Wilmington home, on like a daily basis. Apparently the Secret Service and the FBI, I believe, have both released statements saying they have no way of tracking who has been to that house, which I don't believe for a second. I don't believe that for a second. I believe they know every single time someone went into that property. And the reason they're not going to release a public guest list is because they don't want the public to know who was going to Joe Biden's home. Which, I mean, isn't that far-fetched to explain, to believe, right? You would think. I don't think it's that far-fetched. But I don't know. It's weird. A lot of people are saying, is it an impeachable offense? My belief is that they should file impeachment papers on Joe Biden right now based on the premise that he had these documents, not stored securely. And is that a charge? Absolutely. Would an impeachment be successful in the Senate? No. Just like an impeachment on President Trump was not successful in the Senate 2 times. But look at what everyone says, twice impeached, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why they haven't submitted impeachment paperwork on Joe Biden since all this broke, and we have a House majority, because you would believe that the majority of the House would vote in favor of an impeachment. I don't know why they're not. You know, there's so much that has to do with all of this, with all of the documents and all. Like someone said, he doesn't live in Wilmington. I'm not sure. It was his home in Wilmington. And then the other place in D.C. where they found documents, the Penn Biden Center. It's, you know who also did live at that home? Hunter Biden. You know, and in my opinion, you can't trust a drug addict, in my opinion. Especially with classified material, who is getting material or getting financial support from our enemies, essentially, which is very crazy. It's very crazy. Someone said, as VP, was he even cleared to be removing those SCI documents, though? No, and that's the general consensus online, both with Democrats and Republicans, is that Joe Biden did not have the authority to have those documents inside of Wilmington, inside the Penn Biden Center, no matter what. And just in case you didn't know, like if you're caught driving a stolen car that you didn't steal and you didn't know was stolen, you could still be charged with receiving stolen property. He still should be charged, you would think, right? Or someone that's culpable for it should be charged with possession of, classified documents outside of a classified setting. Because it would be a crime, right? If that was just like a low-level, Pentagon employee or someone else, that careers are ended because of this, aren't they? The same thing. Doesn't this happen all the time? So I think it's kind of interesting. There is a lot of financial stuff that's coming out now saying Hunter was paying $50,000 a month to his dad. Yeah, that's true as well. I did see people online that are like, well, I looked on Zillow and the most expensive place is $6,000 a month. Hey, people pay in. I knew this girl that lived in New York City. She paid $8,000 a month for a room smaller than this for an apartment in New York City. Like, no joke. And I'm not saying that the $50,000 a month, lease that Biden had or Hunter Biden had wasn't some sort of money laundering passed back to his dad with money. I don't know. Did money actually change hands? That would be something to investigate. But I don't know. Rick said low-level people could be charged with 10 years imprisonment just for taking it out. And that's another good question that someone said, Patriot Operator. Can someone pardon themselves? Because I always thought you had to be charged with a crime in order to pardon somebody, but apparently that's not. You could do a blanket pardon, just before anything else. But wouldn't that be like immunity instead of a blanket pardon? I don't know. It's very interesting when you think about it that way. Indigo said it's called money laundering. It's not money laundering unless you could prove that money was laundered. You know what I mean? They could have a tangible lease for $50,000 and that money could be allocated for security and all this stuff. You don't know. And that's why people need to stop jumping to the gun with all this stuff, because there is a lot there. But with everybody being like, oh, it's money laundering, blah, blah, we don't know anything about anything. And what's interesting to me is the only reason we know about this whole thing with the documents and hence, and then when people started looking into whether Hunter Biden lived there, one of the documents that they were able to go was an application which had that address. But then when you look further into the application, it says that he was paying $50,000 a month for rent to a different place. And it all kind of circles. And it's really funny how things things happen like that. But mark my words, there's going to be another progression of this. I guarantee it. There's going to be more documents released, and then we're going to have a tragic mass shooting. We're going to have a terror attack. We're going to have something that happens in the mainstream news cycle that takes the attention away from this. Because just as I said, today's White House press conference, if there is one scheduled, is going to be a crap show, just like every other day, especially now that they found out even more information, now that they found out that they aren't keeping records of who was in these buildings. Where there's going to be something, it has to happen, and there's a pattern of that happening. There's going to be something that takes the attention off Joe Biden, and that's my belief. I don't know about it, but that's my belief. Tim Reed said they knew about these documents before the raid on Mar-a-Lago. That is false, and you shouldn't be reporting stuff that is not true. Because the way you can prove that that's false is because in October is when the first batch of documents were discovered in the Penn Biden Center. They knew about it before the midterms, not before Trump's raid, and those are actual facts. Trump's raid happened when? May of last year, right? I believe. I think Trump's raid happened a long time ago. It happened before the midterms and all that stuff. But then there's something different too. With Trump's raid, the media covered it like crazy, right? The media covered it like crazy. There was press all over the place outside of Mar-a-Lago. Everybody was, panicking about it. Joe Biden even gave statements. They covered it in the press, the White House press conference. And then with Joe Biden, you're not hearing of that. And here's the best part. We already know August 8th wasn't. I don't know when the raid was, but I know based on the timeline that all the news is reporting, these documents were discovered after the raid, but before the midterms. And the FBI knew about them before the midterms, and there was no leaks. You can't get the government to, government employees to stay quiet when it comes to Donald Trump, but anything with Joe Biden, they're pretty quiet. I forgot one of the things I was just going to say. I don't remember. I'm also working on not a lot of food in my stomach. I'm probably lighter right now, and water, because I'm fine now. I went into the office yesterday and I only made it like an hour into the store, and I packed a bunch of the patriotic as F boxes. And then I had to go home because there wasn't enough toilet paper in the store. So yeah, this stomach thing. Last night I slept on my couch in fetal position. No joke, because the stomach pains that I was having, like the cramps. Oh my gosh! But today everything kind of feels better, and I'm drinking water, and I was able to eat half a bagel this morning. So I'm doing good. But that's why I didn't do a show yesterday. And so you'll see, like, I was doing little things on the website or little things here or there, whenever I could, be good for 5 minutes. But yeah, so Biden was always a fall guy. The swamp media wagged the dog to get him in there until they needed to throw him under the bus and put the first female black Indian president in place to fulfill. Yeah, see, and I don't know if this is going to, like, a lot of people I saw on social media were saying this is going to be like the 25th Amendment, like, it doesn't apply in this case, unless you want to say that Joe Biden is mentally unfit to hold office, at which it would apply. Nothing about these classified documents would prove his mental fortitude, because let's be honest, these guys are not doing any of this stuff. Joe Biden isn't literally packing up papers and putting them in his office. He's not doing that. It's all other people are doing it. Same with Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't request that those documents. In fact, the GSA has already come out publicly and said they're the ones who packed all of his stuff from the White House, transferred it to the moving trucks, and unloaded it in Mar-a-Lago. But it's very crazy. Someone else said it'll get swept under the rug. I don't think it's going to get swept under the rug. I just don't know what's going to happen. There is a special investigator because someone obviously did something wrong, and they're going to look into who knew about these documents prior to being there. I mean, I wonder if they're going to fingerprint the documents. That would be interesting to see whose fingerprints are actually on these documents. Are Joe Biden's fingerprints on the documents? What if Hunter Biden's fingerprints are on the documents? That's something we'll never actually know, but that's what I would do. If I was a special investigator, every single document that's recovered, I would say fingerprint. And every non-classified, TCSI clearance holder that whose fingerprints are present on those documents, I would send full SWAT teams into their homes because they're doing something wrong. And it's, I heard a lot on the news today when I was driving here this morning. It said that Joe Biden had his non-TSI cleared lawyers going through all this stuff, which again is false. We know that the lawyers that were in there were holding clearance. It doesn't mean that the documents that they recovered were of the same clearance that the personal lawyers for Joe Biden had. But there's no evidence to prove that's false. And that's why I hate it when the media does that. Like, it's not that hard to get actual concrete information, but it seems that they don't really want to do it. You know, it seems that they don't really want to get concrete information and believe something is true or false. They just want to push an agenda. And now it's interesting because CNN, MSN, well, I don't know about MSNBC. Are they still on the air? I have no idea. But CNN is going pretty hard at this story too. NBC News, ABC News. It's not on the morning news anymore, but likely after today's, White House press conference, whatever that's going to be, if there was, it'll likely be on the morning news again because they're, especially if more documents come forward, because they found more documents on Thursday night, right? And so they released that on Friday, and during the White House press conference, Karine Jean-Pierre was freaking out. And then Simon Atibu or whatever, he's the White House correspondent for Africa Times, I believe. Remember, I've talked about him numerous times. I actually follow him on I think I'm friends with him on LinkedIn, and I follow him on social media because I've tried to get him to come on my old show, the Wake Up America show, because of the way he was treated by Jen Psaki. Remember, every time he would try to ask a question, she would just ridicule him. And I'm like, holy crap. I can make the same kind of inclinations that, left-wing media does and say, well, the fact is she repeatedly won't call on this guy from Africa, a black man. I can only assume that she's racist. But then Karine Jean-Pierre does the same exact thing when it comes to the Africa Times or whatever. Why are they even in the White House if they're not going to be allowed to ask any questions? And so there's been all of these things. If you watch the White House YouTube feed, you're not going to hear it. When Karine Jean-Pierre closes her binder and walks out, it's always Simon Atibu or whatever his name is and another female reporter that are reporting for the African news syndicates out there that are always left asking questions, yelling questions after because they're not getting any answers. And so when you see a lot of those go back and forth between the media, it has to do with those two reporters because Karine Jean-Pierre is refusing to call on them and allow them to ask any questions. And so this morning, the Simon guy on Twitter was pretty active because he's like, I wonder what the White House press conference is going to be like. Do you think they're going to call on me again or blah, blah, blah? And see, he's kind of putting it back, which I think it's pretty interesting. I at least I like it. But I think it's the whole thing is interesting. Someone said, who likes the new MLK statue? No, I don't know. April said, can someone get me another cup of coffee? Here's a good idea, right? And I don't have anything special set up for it, so I suppose you guys are going to be the only ones that know about this right now. If you guys go to Pure Truth Coffee today and buy anything, I prefer the sweatshirt, the sweatshirt mug mix because that's just a really good bundle for us to sell. But if you buy anything today, okay, and Mindy, you're already in because you already bought a sweatshirt and mug. But if you buy anything from Pure Truth Coffee today, anytime in the next 24 hours, specifically today, a Patriot, as F box, whatever, I will draw one person and they will win 4 bags of coffee per month for 12 months. And we'll call it coffee for a year. And you could choose what coffee, you could choose whatever you want, but all you got to do is make a purchase on puretruthcoffee.com. April will throw the sweatshirt link in there. And keep in mind, if you add a sweatshirt to your cart, don't forget to add a mug because the mug is free. You choose what mug you want. It's amazing. And then if you do our Patriotic as F bundles, I changed these last week just in case you didn't catch up. Now you can pick your own shirts or your hoodie, depending on which one you choose. Just add the Patriotic as F bundle to your cart. If you do a t-shirt bundle, go and pick 2 t-shirts that you want. Or if you pick the hoodie bundle, add a hoodie right there. Because now that allows the hoodie to get out to you real quick. And then I assemble the bundle and send it in a separate box so I can ship it much, much quicker. Military Outlaw said you got your mugs today. Nice. Yeah, I saw a lot of people have been getting the sweatshirts. There were a couple of mix-ups for some reason where the Tyranny sweatshirts were getting mixed up by the printer. But they're you guys are doing the right thing. You're sending me a photo of it, and I just send that to the printer, and they're like, we're sorry, we'll fix it. But that's what happens when you have like 100 orders in 24 hours. They get crazy. So, yep, coffee for a year. Just make a purchase, any purchase on puretruthcoffee.com. I prefer that you do here's what I'll do. Any purchase is 1 entry. 2 entries is if you buy a hoodie and a mug bundle, right? So you just pick the hoodie you want and choose whatever mug to go with it. And then I'll do 5 entries if you buy a Patriotic as F bundle today. All right. And then I'm going to draw that tomorrow and you get your first order of coffee, by the end of the week. Maybe by the end of the week. I'll pick one person at random tomorrow morning and then we'll go that way. Because I love doing that. I'm going to have memberships too, and I'm going to make like a subscription plan for the coffee and stuff. That's all the stuff I'm working on this week. That's why I said I'm not going to do a lot of shows. I was going to do a 5 o'clock show today, but I decided that I think I'm going to move the gym equipment that's in the back. First, I got to go measure, because I've never really done a full walkthrough in the store, but I have like the big room that I used to have my show in, and behind that room is like a warehouse room that I never used. But it does have a concrete floor. Depending on the height, I may move the big power rack there and then push the other power rack against the wall, because then I could fit my motorhome in here and get my driveway back. And so I don't know. I'm gonna check and see. But the Noodles said the America Estate 1776 hoodie is great. It's become your deadlifting hoodie now. Yeah, we've got so many hoodies on the store that, hoodies are probably our number 1 seller right now. I want to get back to the Patriotic as F bundles as the number 1 seller, because they are my favorite thing to put together. And now that I have this new system of doing it where you can pick your own t-shirts. And here's the thing, if you don't pick your t-shirts, I'm just going to choose 2 random ones that we have in the actual physical store to get your boxes out quick. Or if you order a hoodie, I'm just going to choose a random hoodie and send it to you. So it's gonna be pretty interesting. So 64% of Americans currently consume coffee. So why not get free coffee? I was going to do it for life, but then I figured that's a bigger giveaway, and I want to open that up to everyone that can't afford to buy anything. So there will be a coffee for life giveaway, but I want to do that right, because I think that value would be over $2,500. So there's different legal standards that I have to adhere to do it. Carol said you got your ammo box a few days ago. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm going to start doing the reviews again. So if you do have the ammo boxes, if you'll say, like, if you get one, like, for example, the people that are getting in them today, if you'll set it all up and take a good picture, that would be super awesome as well. The only reason why I have another 13 boxes to make, I have all the labels printed and everything. I ran out of books. I ran out of coffee too, of the Fiery But Peaceful blend. So what I'm going to do is just put a random bag of coffee with a little handwritten note that here's 10% off your next bundle or something like that, because I effed up and ran out of coffee. I don't want to wait anymore for people to wait. So yeah, the ammo boxes are pretty awesome, because they come in that 50 caliber ammo can. I put hats in them, all new patches. So our patches are pretty dope now. I like them. Erdum said 110 to 120 million bags of coffee are produced every year. Yeah, they are. There's a lot of coffee. I had all those facts on the Gratis Cafe website, but I've decided that I'm simplifying things. So I don't know if you've noticed that Pure Truth Coffee is going to be, and the new slogan for Pure Truth is America's patriotic coffee company. Because everyone's like, America's coffee company with BRCC. Nah. America's patriotic coffee company. And that's what our shops are going to be. And that's why it kind of gives that, to have all the patriotic stuff in the stores and all that. And then we'll go. And once my plan is to move this studio to the store, and I'll just work out of the store every day. And we're going to have a section online, which is going to be all stuff you could pick up in store. So if you live local or you're planning a trip, you can buy stuff and then come in the store and pick it up. We're not at that point yet. But yeah, hopefully a lot of you guys go and purchase some stuff from the coffee store. So hopefully you could do that, because we have a lot that we're trying to achieve, and that's that. I am building a new website for the Rational American magazine, because like I said last week, and you may have missed it, we're doing a lot of new stuff here, because I wanted to do more. We wanted to get out of like the daily news business and do more like feature articles or interviews and stuff like that. And so after a long conversation with April, we kind of came up with a plan. So I'm building another website, although the rationalamerican.locals is going to be the main site to go. And that's going to be the community section for the other site, but it's more going to take over everything we do, and it's all going to promote the coffee side, and the coffee side is going to allow us to be able to be successful, and it's a good idea. Someone said, do me a favor and give Defender of an Ant a run for his money. I don't know what you're talking about. Defender of the Ant is you guys got to understand, a lot of the streamers, and I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal, but a lot of them are like down here in terms of where they want to go, or that's not the right thing to say. I'm not like a typical like streamer. You know what I mean? I don't engage in a lot of the back and forth that they do. It's just not my thing. They can do it all they want. It's just not my thing. I don't know what these streamers are doing anymore, and frankly, I don't care. I'm just trying to build a brand that isn't tied to this weird mix of craziness that's happening in this country. Or in terms of streaming and in terms of rallies and stuff like that. I want to do like fun stuff. Like the part of the reason why I want to get the RV in here is to clean it and it's cold outside. To keep it in here so it's ready to go. So I can go and do random stuff and go. I want to visit like movie theaters, like the old school movie theaters, and document it, take pictures. I want to do like pop-up live shows. I want to do interviews where a lot of times we'll try to get someone to do an interview and they're like, I don't really want to, I'm not traveling or something. And we don't have Timcast budget where we can fly people in on private planes. This time I could just jump in and go and do more, I want to do more of seeing the country. I want to go shoot. I want to go, drive what are those 4-wheeled all-terrain vehicles out? Like, I really just want to have fun. You know what I mean? And build a company and still, let people know that, it's okay to be patriotic in this country. And to be honest, you can be patriotic if you're a liberal. I know not a lot of people believe that, but you can. My wife is patriotic as shit. She's liberal. Well, now she's independent. But she's a patriot. She believes in this country and the success. We just have different pathways of getting there. And I think if people remember that, we can. So what I would implore all of you guys, the best way for you to support us and what we're doing is by going and buying some coffee at puretruthcoffee.com, buying hoodies. Again, add a hoodie to your cart, add a mug to your cart. The mug is completely free. Or if you prefer tumblers, the tumblers are half off with the purchase of a hoodie. We'll buy our Patriotic as F bundles. We'll get those out. They're not called 4-wheelers. They're called side-by-sides, right? Isn't that what they are? Yeah. So Erdem says, it seems like you're trying to build a business and they beg for money. Yeah, and I noticed we were getting kind of down that path. That's why I've made a huge push towards Pure Truth Coffee and just pushing that. Now that the store is open, I gotta get internet there, and it's a lot of money. So that's what I'm trying to do, is get you guys awesome clothing, awesome coffee. Therefore, I can do that and get the internet. And then once I get internet on in that store, I'll move all my computer stuff there. The store will be open 7 days a week, or 5 or 6 days a week. And so people can come in. I'll do, interviews in an actual podcast studio and have my office on the other side. Gym right there. So I never have to leave. It's all right there. But I just need it's just money. It just costs money. And I'll tell you what, right now we have 2 total orders. I won't say the order amount, but we have 2 total orders in the store. And we are about 5% of the total goal that I need for the day. So if you guys, go ham and go to the store and buy the hoodies or whatever, we'll be good. They're not slingshots. Slingshots are those 3-wheeled things, which are pretty cool too. They're side by side, like the razors or whatever the hell they're called, where they have after the suspension and they go crazy. That's what I want to do. I want to go ride on those and see trails. I want to go out west. See, that's the problem. I'm still battling whatever it is, and that was a pretty close right there, to be completely honest. But I look good, right? I'm not like all green in the face and stuff, but I'm nauseous, and I can't. It's getting better. But we call them gators or side by sides. Aren't they razors though? Isn't that the brand of them? I don't know. There was a lot of mass shootings too. You'll notice I haven't really covered the mass shootings since the beginning of the year. There's just so many, and it wasn't helpful to anybody. It did do something for me. Like, I felt good covering the mass shootings all the time because I felt like I was doing my part in showing what was really happening in this country. But then I was like, you know what? Nobody cares anymore. Nobody wants to talk about this stuff as much as they should, and it sucks because I wish more people would. But I mean, there's shootings every day all across America. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you may have missed this this tweet I put out this morning. Some people said it was old. However, I'm not quite sure it was old. But there was this video of this woman, this guy that tried to carjack some people. Here, you know what? I'll play the video. Hold on, because I'm curious to see your take on this and what you guys believe. But before, I put the link to the sweatshirts in the chat. So while I find this video, why don't you all go buy some sweatshirts and hoodies, or some hoodies? And and I put the Land of the Free. I think that's what it was. Land of the Free zip up is now on there as well, because like 17 of you all asked for it. Oh, don't forget to remind me to talk about this new Trump thing, which is going to make some of you pissed. But whatever, we got to do what we got to do, right? Which is just report on real stuff. Let me see. Let me delete that one because that wasn't even supposed to be there. So this video I played, I showed this yesterday, or I put it on my Twitter page yesterday. So you see a woman that's standing here. She's got a gun. This man is being stopped by a bunch of people, and let me preface what happened before, because nobody actually knows. So the man that's on his knees in the black that's being grabbed by the guy in the overalls and the rest of the people, he apparently tried to purse snatch an old woman. And so when he then gets away, and that lady fires. Now, she doesn't shoot him. He is not injured by the bullet. That was apparently a warning shot that went off. But what was interesting to me is I immediately thought about how people are going to portray this. And of course they are. A lot of people on social media, especially that like NAACP and all those types, those related groups, maybe not them specifically, they've all, said that this woman was trying to execute a black dude that was running away, blah, blah, blah. A lot of other people say she was, firing in the air. It doesn't appear that. I zoomed in yesterday. It doesn't appear that she was trying to fire in the air. It looks like she was trying to fire at him and missed. I could be wrong about that. A lot of people are saying she fled. She hasn't come forward. That's not true. She did come forward to the police later on. She did leave the scene, though. But just like I said with that Houston shooting, because I believe this was in Texas as well, that Houston shooting where the guy killed the robber that was robbing them all, I don't know if I was involved in a shooting that I would stick around. and the way it currently goes, because look at people that are actually defending themselves are being charged with crimes. You're having that all over the place. There was the people that were the guy that was defending the two in April. Maybe you could look back into this story because I don't remember. There's a Dollar Tree employee, or the guy that was going to a Dollar Tree, remember? And he pulled out a gun and fired at a suspect that was beating up two cashiers. And they charged him with murder. I believe that was in Houston area as well. They actually charged him with murder. I don't know if the charges is stuck, but there was a little bit of public outcry about it because they're like, hey, listen, this guy was stopping shoplifters. There was another one where a woman was charged, I believe in Michigan or some state north of Texas, which is virtually all of them. She was charged for shooting the tires out of a shoplifter's vehicle because they deemed there was no current threat. And it's, you have all these weird scenarios where people are being held, or like the bodega owner in New York City that took matters into his own hand when a guy was trying to kill him, and he ended up killing his attacker, and he was actually locked up in Rikers. And he would likely still be there charged with murder if there wasn't a public outcry about how a bodega owner has the right to defend themselves. It seems that now a lot of people rush to judgment, like me. I saw this video and I'm like, she's going to jail. That's just all I could think of. And then I was thinking about it and I'm like, does she have the right to shoot at him for nonviolent crime when she's not even the victim? And I'm like, I don't, that's not my car. I parked over there. There's someone out there. But Because normally that's where I park, but I parked on the other side today. So I saw someone standing by the car. I was like, I'm going to fuck him up. But yeah, that's not me. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting when you think about it, because you really have to second guess defending yourself now in America, right? And I even ran the you guys know which one I'm talking about in Houston, where the guy was sitting there in the booth. Another guy came in with what turned out to be a fake gun and was robbing everybody. And then the guy in the booth pulled his own firearm and killed. And he went overboard. Let's be honest. He went overboard. He fired 3 or 4 shots while the guy was standing. Then the guy was down, and apparently the gun had flown away from him, and he fired 3 or 4 more shots, and then he walked over to him and shot him again in the head. Okay, so he went overboard, and likely everyone knows that. But where do you draw the line? What if you could prove? Can they charge them with say he fired more shots, but they could prove that the second shot while he was standing was the one that pierced the heart, and that could you still charge him with murder if you know that if a coroner came in and said, well, the second bullet wound was the one that would have been fatal? You know what I mean? But then again, the headshot is kind of different. But that guy, the police wanted to question him. And of course, he fled the scene too. And I ran that scenario through my wife because I was like, listen, outside of all the extra shots, you would expect me, knowing that I carry a gun when we go anywhere, you would expect me, if I was in a restaurant and some guy was trying to rob us, that I would draw and pull the trigger, right? And I was like, you would expect that, right? She's like, yeah, because you carry a gun. That's why you carry a gun. And I'm like, but do you understand that I could also get arrested for that? In a lot of cities right now, even more cut and dry ones, where a guy pulls a gun and they shoot someone, right, that's trying to rob them, and they're still getting charged. They're still getting charged with murder because they're saying, well, or you have the person's like, yeah, you should shoot him in the leg or something like that. And it was funny, man. Someone said, do we only get a free cup with a hoodie and not a t-shirt? Yes, only a hoodie. Because I can't hide the cost of the mug in a t-shirt cost. You know what I'm saying? So yes, but it's interesting. Kern Mel said, wrote an article not too long ago, the way the police deem it suspicious if you keep firing after 3 hits. Apparently there's some studies at the human mind hitting someone 3 times, then not firing again. Really? I don't know, man. I don't know. I just think it's interesting that we keep having this, these scenarios. And we keep kind of saying, this woman, do I believe that she was firing a warning shot? No, I don't. Do I believe she should be charged with shooting her gun in a parking lot? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Do I believe that the guy should be charged? Yes. And here's another instance, right? Say she shot the guy, right? And the bullet went beyond him and hit somebody else. Say it didn't hit him and it hit somebody else. Should that guy be charged because he initially committed the crime that they were all responding to? Well, yeah, yeah, he should be charged, right? But do they always do it? No. I just read some article where a guy killed his girlfriend, shot her to death, and he got 19 months in jail. I just read some article like that this weekend. That's why it was making news, because people are like, I can't believe this person only got 19 months in jail for shooting someone to death. It's crazy. Someone said there might have been 2 robbers that walked up to her car and stole her purse from her car. Yeah, but that's not what the actual news said. It said that he tried, and she wasn't even the one that they were trying to rob. It was some other lady. She just witnessed it. She was in her pickup truck and she witnessed the lady trying to, the guy robbing her, all the other good Samaritans coming and tackling him. And then she came out with a gun. That is according to the Daily Mail, who seemingly does more U.S. reporting than the U.S. news media. But it's kind of interesting. Florida trucker said, as former LEO, you should shoot until they are no longer deemed a threat. Yes, in the case of the Houston one, you could even make an argument saying that you didn't see the gun come out, and that's why you fired several more times when the guy was on the ground. But then headshotting him after when you're holding the dude's gun, that's clearly not acceptable. And to be honest, that guy has come forward through an attorney and has talked to police, and apparently he's not been charged yet. And now all those, all like the family of the guy that was killed and all these race, social justice groups are coming forward and saying, even the Black Panther Party of like Houston, they've even come forward and said, listen, while that the restaurant goer was justified in his first shots, he wasn't justified in the other shots. And they want him charged with something for that, which is, it's interesting because I think a lot of people agree with that. A lot of people do agree, like, listen, you're justified in your initial shots. You're not justified in the rest of the shots. And if, like, and you can't use, and I guess that's where I was going with the, you can't fault someone for leaving the scene of an instance like that where they choose to use deadly force in the 20, what are we? 22nd century? I don't know. But you can't, 21st century still, right? But you can't pass judgment on them for doing it. You can't, because for leaving, because look at what the media has done. You could pass judgment if they leave and never come forward and talk to police and all that stuff. But you can literally say, my first choice was, holy shit, I'm going to jail. And it's not because I did anything wrong. It's because of these Democrat politicians, Democrat, prosecutors and stuff that are essentially making it illegal to stand up for yourself, And I don't know. It's weird. Most self-defense cases are decided in court by grand jury. Yeah, I know. Even police shootings. I had a buddy that was a cop down in Florida. He was involved in a fatal police shooting on the force, and he had to sit for like 8 months. This was during COVID, I believe. He had to sit for like 8 months. He was getting paid, but he wasn't allowed to work while a grand jury was investigating a shoot, only to deem it clear, and then he was finally able to go back to work. But yeah, he was on leave for like 8 months, and it's weird because you'll find some of these people that are involved in these scenarios, police officers, whatever, that are cleared right away within like a week or two. And then, and I personally know someone that was involved in a fatal police shooting, and he had to, before he was allowed to go back on duty. I think he was I don't think he was even given desk duty. He was placed on administrative leave until the shooting was deemed justified by a grand jury. And I believe that's how Florida works, is that every police related shooting has to be gone through by a grand jury, I believe. I could be wrong on that one. Because I believe there was something just in the news about another police shooting where the guy was, put back on duty within like a week or two. And I was like, well, I thought it was law in the state of Virginia that they need to do a grand jury, thing on it. But someone said getting paid to do nothing. He was involved in a shooting. He didn't get paid to do nothing. Okay. If you've talked to anybody that's been put in that kind of situation, they're not doing anything. They are trying to deal with the fact that they took a life, at least in this dude's instance, but yeah. Glenn said you shoot till the perpetrator is neutralized. Yeah. I mean, my wife always makes the argument, but then again, she doesn't shoot or doesn't like guns. She has shot, but she doesn't like guns at all. She's like, why don't police aim for the legs or the arms? And I showed her that video one time. I showed her the video of the police officer, the guy with the knife, and of the police officer that's shooting him numerous times. A full clip, I believe, to try to get him to stop. And the officer still got stabbed. And I showed her that, and she's like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Why they're not saying they're shooting, at the legs or something like that. And I'm like, to be honest, and a lot of you guys, not you particular people watching, but when we've had these conversations before on this show, I'll make mention of it. And then people are like, they should shoot for the legs. And I'm like, do you have a concealed carry permit? Because anywhere you've gotten a concealed carry permit, you take that gun safety course as part of it, and they tell you exactly where you're supposed to shoot if you do have to pull. And there's never been a gun instructor that's like, you aim for the legs. And maybe I'm wrong. I can only assume there's never been a concealed carry permit holder or instructor that says, yep, so when you draw your weapon, you're aiming for their big toe. I can almost guarantee that doesn't happen. I remember mine. He's like, nope, shoot center mass. And I was someone in the class is like, why wouldn't you shoot for that? And he's like, because you're gonna miss. You shoot for the center mass. That's what you shoot for, and you shoot until they're done. But yeah, it's every gun owner should take a class just like driver's class to drive a car. Yeah, I agree. I've said that before on this show. I think you, for one, your 18th birthday, you should have to go and well, I think military service should be required. I believe every able-bodied man and woman should do 2 years of service as long as you're medically able to do so and mentally. Well, that would be out the window now because these kids nowadays are not mentally fit to even enter the workforce, let alone the military. But I wasn't in the military. I couldn't. I had asthma, as much as I wanted to. All my brothers lied to their recruiters. I was the only one that was honest. But then again, I had way worse asthma than all of them. But I wasn't able to get in the military. And now it just dawned on me, probably with my kids, neither of them are going to be able to get in the military, especially not the older boy, because he's got severe asthma. He had to go to the doctor yesterday, and I was supposed to go so I could learn about his new treatment plan and all that. But of course, I had the shits, so I couldn't go. I was sitting at home, literally, and we speakerphoned with the doctor. And and the doctor was kind of like, why are we doing this? And my wife is like, because he's sick. And he's like, oh, well, thank him for not coming in. I'm like, I'm on speakerphone. Like, I know. But Virginia Realtor said you got a waiver. See, I don't know how you got a waiver. Because don't you have to do the breath test and all that stuff? Because you had bad asthma too. For anyone that doesn't know, that's my brother. But he had bad asthma, and he was able to get in. That's bullshit. Oh, he said, I didn't lie. I was honest. But like the breathing test that they wanted me to do when I was talking to him, they said I also had to pay for it. It was like a breathing stress test or something like that. It was like $2,500. Maybe it's because it was earlier in the war. I don't know what it was, but yeah, we have dehumidifiers, departiculationers. We got everything. We just have to do different stuff with his asthma. Like he takes Flovent every day, but he hasn't been doing it regular. And also, the doctor was pissed that the hospital ended prednisone within a day of him getting out of the hospital. So he gave him a new script, and he wants him to run prednisone for forever. But someone said you can get a waiver depending on when you were diagnosed. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I also had asthma. I don't know if my brothers had asthma into their like teenage years. I did all the way into high school. I had severe asthma, so it could have been the difference in that regard. But I don't know, man. It's a very interesting thing, asthma, and how it scares the crap out of you, to be completely honest. As a reminder for anyone that doesn't know, right now, if you see Courtney just ordered a hoodie, hell yeah, you did. If you click on the link that's in your chat, and it's also in the description of the video, and you go to hoodies, order your hoodie, add any mug to your cart, okay? Any mug whatsoever. Or if you want to order the Patriotic As F bundle, order that bundle, choose hoodie, and then add any hoodie to your cart. The hoodie will be free if you order the Patriot bundle, and then your hoodie you'll get it super fast. The way, like everyone who ordered the hoodies on like Thursday and Friday has probably already got them, or they're coming today. But yeah, Virginia Realtor got his mug, by the way. It's awesome. Thanks. Sorry. And I remember I almost sent you an extra one, but yeah. If you guys will, someone said a day. No way. It's at least 5 days when I had to. Yeah, he was in the hospital for 2 days, and then he had 6 prednisone twice a day for, so it was 5. So he had the prednisone for a total of 5 days. And then the doctor that he went to see yesterday was like, what the, and prescribed it for 3 more days at a single so it's 5 more days, single dose for 2 days, and then every other day for 3 days. But what we're doing now is if you make a purchase in our store today, this includes you, Virginia Realtor. If you make a purchase of anything in our store today, tomorrow morning I'm doing a drawing for one person. You're going to win coffee for a year. It's 4 bags of coffee per month. You could choose what they are, or I'll choose. And we'll send it to you for a year. I am going to do a coffee for life, but that's going to be bigger, and it's going to be all fanfare and, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to have coffee subscription plans, hopefully by the end of the day, where on your second month, you'll get a free coffee mug for being a partner and all that stuff. The Trump story. See, that's why I said don't forget to remind me of that. So this Trump story is one that's kind of interesting. So another thing that's coming out in the news at the same time as all this Joe Biden hyperbole stuff, right, is that people, everything we said about COVID was true. You know what I mean? Everything. There's a reason why big drug manufacturers are all buying rare disease companies now, because, well, look at what is happening with some people that have been vaccinated. And I'm not really going to pussyfoot around what I'm trying to say, because everything I'm saying is current. Everything I'm saying is true. There are people that have gotten the vaccine that are having, cardiac issues, or having strokes in their face, or are going blind or deaf. And if you look up, like, for example, AstraZeneca, who makes a COVID vaccine that's not available here in the United States, but is widely available in other countries throughout the world, they purchased a company that manufactured Alexion. And I've talked about this in my show before, and nobody else has. But they purchased a company called Alexion back in June of 2020 or June of 2021. I don't remember. I think it was 2021. That specializes in 7 rare diseases, one of which is a disease that causes like strokes. Essentially, you go blind in an ear, you lose your feeling in your thing. They have another one that does. Pfizer bought a company that specializes in blood clots. Alexion has a couple of companies that do that, and they just acquired another one as well. Alexion, even though AstraZeneca owns Alexion now, Alexion just bought another company that does rare blood diseases. So, and it's kind of funny because you're kind of like, well, why are they doing that? Why are they breaking from their mold and buying companies that have nothing to do with anything they've ever done before? It's specializing in rare diseases. And then you look into it more, and you know what adjuvants are, and you know about the mRNA vaccines and adjuvants and blah, blah, blah. Now it's starting to come out in the media that there's some questions about, vaccine safety, right? Rightfully so. The CDC came out and then quickly retracted, but they came out and said that some of the boosters with Pfizer, there was an increased likelihood of a very, very slim likelihood of something happening for people over 65. I'm deliberately vague right here with the boosters, so they were not recommending it, and then that retracted. But there's been a lot of questions, right? A lot of athletes have fallen ill on, and it's not related to the vaccines, but stuff has happened recently that's caused people to question what we've already been questioning forever, in these boosters and vax safety specifically and things like that. Well, former President Donald Trump dismissed claims that COVID-19 vaccines are broadly unsafe, while asserting that his own role in the development of the vaccines may have saved 100 million lives. Now, I know what you're saying, but this is really, really scary shit, right? And it kind of leads me to believe that Donald Trump, to go down that path that a lot of you don't like when I do, that lead me to believe that Donald Trump is far more of a politician than he is now, than a regular, an American. You know what I mean? Or he's still a regular, you know what I'm trying to say. He's not the same guy we all elected in 2016. He's just simply not. And so he touted the effectiveness of Operation Warp Speed, his administration's program to accelerate development of the COVID-19 vaccine and therapeutics, during a Monday interview on a conservative podcast called The Water Cooler. Now, host David Brody asked the former president if he would acknowledge that vaccines were not as safe or as effective as we were told by the medical community at the time. YouTube, that is a direct quote from the podcast. It's not me saying that, whatever. And then Trump said, I was able to get something approved that, has proven to have saved a lot of lives. Some people say that I saved 100 million lives worldwide. Trump touted the speed of the vaccine development under his program, saying that he was, quote, able to get the vaccines done in 9 months, as opposed to what he claimed would have been 5 to 12 years. And what he's talking about is the speed to approval. Typically, it takes 5 years or more. The average before these vaccines was like 4.5 years before a drug actually gets to human trials. And that's like the FDA's guidance. Like, the quickest a drug's ever been approved by the FDA has been like 4 years prior to these vaccines. And then, it is what it is. They approve it. Now everyone can do it. And the reason why they typically wait 4 or 5 years is to make sure during human trials and everything that there aren't any side effects. Because here's the thing: if you have a long-setting side effect that you're not going to find out what it is until 2 or 3 years down the line, how are you supposed to be able to tell? How are you supposed to approve something when you don't know? Unless you give a congressional immunity to the drug manufacturers, which they did. The former president said that it was very important to note that he did not order lockdowns or a federal vaccine mandate, and had, quote, never forced anyone to get the shots. He also praised Republican governors for refusing mandates and lockdowns at the state level. However, he singled out his potential 2024 GOP primary opponent, Ron DeSantis, for pandemic policy criticism, pointing out that the Florida governor had shut down his state for a period of time. The state of Florida was shut down for 2 weeks. So Donald Trump right now is trying to say, yes, I built, warp speed and put vaccines in everyone's hands. And yes, yes, yes. And DeSantis, who may or may not be running against Trump, shut down the state for 2 days, 2 weeks. I lived in Florida at that time. So contrary to what anyone says, Florida was locked down statewide for about 2 weeks. That's about it. And then each individual county got to make their own determination. Some counties were locked down for a long time. That's why my kids didn't fall back in school, because they only were homeschooled for 3 weeks. 3 weeks, literally, because the school year was about to end, and then they all went back to school the next year. Whereas most of the country, what didn't reopen, our schools did in Florida. Well, at least the districts that my kids went to, and the district where my wife worked, which was a different district in itself, which is kind of funny, right? Brody then pushed Trump to declare what he had concerns about the safety concerns of those vaccines. Trump said that he always had concerns, but argued that some reports were saying the vaccines were the greatest thing that ever happened, while those claimed safety involved relatively small numbers. This is Donald Trump. Every time I did the quote was Donald Trump. You have to understand there are some pros and cons, said Trump. Some reports say that it's the greatest thing that ever happened and we saved tens of millions of lives. Then you read other reports that say there are some problems with the vaccine, but relatively small numbers. But he said, but you have many reports that say vaccines save tens of millions of lives. He continued, with the vaccines, you would have such a thing where perhaps 100 million people have died, if not for the vaccines, he's saying. So he is saying that because he put, the guy is not saying that there's anything wrong with these vaccines. And I blame him for it? No, he doesn't want to be guilty for anyone that's having adverse reactions to vaccines now. In all reality, he could be like, well, it's not the vaccines, it's the boosters. He can make whatever argument he wanted now, because the boosters weren't developed under his administration. But the fact is that he is out here still pushing the same stuff. I don't know. I've made my position. I voted for him twice. I won't be voting for him again unless he gets the Republican primary. He is a nod and wins the primaries. I won't be voting for him on a personal level, because I do think he is just I think he's more of a politician than he is of the person. Do I think he would still lead the country in an amazing way? Yes, absolutely. But I believe that the negative will overshadow any good that he could possibly do, in my humble opinion. And I think the fact that he can't, this is an interesting article, and it goes quite a bit more. It's on Newsweek. You can just look it up. The title of this article is, I would be interested to listen to the whole podcast, but it was, Trump dismisses COVID-19 vax safety claims, said he saved 100 million lives. But I don't know. It's interesting. Erica King said the worst thing Trump could do right now is go after DeSantis. I know it's part of his thing to go after competition, but don't do it this time. Yeah, I know. And there's a lot of people that are totally out here shilling for Donald Trump still, that are trying to attack Ron DeSantis for the state closing for 2 weeks or whatever. And they're like, well, as a Floridian, I could say that, my state was closed down longer than 2 weeks. And I'm like, I lived in Florida at that same time. I just wasn't in a Democrat county. If you lived in a Democrat county, your health department and everything kept it shut down. It wasn't DeSantis. Do you know what I mean? That's why half of the other counties were all wide open, like Tampa and Miami, and they still closed. They still locked down their stuff. But I don't know, man. We'll have to wait and see what is going to transpire with all that stuff. Again, guys, very important. If you want to win coffee for a year, buy anything from the store today, Pure Truth Coffee. Preference doesn't go, it doesn't matter. But if you buy a hoodie and a mug, that would be super awesome of you. And I will likely I don't know if I'm going to do something live or I'll record something or whatever for the Rational American. I'm still trying to get into everything. I got to get to the store today and pack all the coffee orders that I have to do. That I didn't want to touch coffee yesterday. But like I said, I'm feeling okay today. So do that and get those all to the post office down there. So I'm going to run now, and I will see all of you either today for another one or tomorrow. All right. But until next time.